Almost every night when I lay in bed, I would feel this gut-dropping, heart-pounding fear, and I would think I was just being ridiculous and afraid of the dark. But I could swear that I saw this young girl in my room in the shadows, usually under my bed. She had dark hair, pale skin, and big, wide black eyes. I would be almost hyperventilating under my covers, peeking out at her through my tiny breathing hole. I would lay there paralyzed in fear until I either eventually made a mad dash to my mom's bedroom or inevitably fall asleep in my own bed. I couldn't work out if she was actually there or if it was just me being afraid of our creepy house and imagining things. I thought this because no one ever saw her but me. The years went by and these nightly creepy episodes continued. I felt like I was being terrorized by this girl, and all she ever did was stare at me. My bed was right next to a mirrored cupboard, so I could see her laying there, just inches away from me. It still makes my skin crawl thinking about it. But anyway, it somehow got even worse as time went by. I swear that she always seemed to be the same age as me. When I was small, so was she. When I was 12 and a bit taller, so was she. I got more and more scared of her, realizing this when I was about 15. I basically never slept alone at my mom's anymore. I was always visiting my dad, staying with friends, or having them over. I eventually forgot about the creepy girl and decided she must not have been real. After all, there were other ghosts here that other people saw, but nobody ever mentioned her. I also did have a very bad fear of the dark as a kid, so it must be it, right? I even started sleeping alone in my room after a while. That creepy feeling has always remained, but my mom's house always felt that way, and I just refused to look in that mirror at night ever again. Fast forward to now, and I'm in my early 20s. Life is good. I live in my own place that's not haunted, but unfortunately it doesn't end here. My mom called me in the morning as she usually does to say hi, but this time she sounded a bit off. She said, "You're gonna want to hear this. Something happened to Steve, her boyfriend, last night and it was really creepy." To cut the long story short, Steve isn't a ghost believer and has always tried to ignore the very obvious sounds at night. I think it just creeped him out too. Well, last night, my mom and him were watching TV on the couch where the footsteps were much louder than ever before. Steve tried to tell my mom that someone was upstairs in her house and she started laughing. "Oh, it's just the ghosts. I've been telling you, they are real." Steve went a bit quiet then, probably trying to rationalize with himself that ghosts aren't real. Not long later, Mom went to bed, but Steve stayed up to watch more TV. After a while, the noises were too much for him, so he switched the lights off to go upstairs to bed. This is where it got real. From the shadows of the now dark living room, Steve saw a shape begin to approach him. He climbed the stairs, going faster and faster as the figure gained on him. It was the girl. He could see her clearly now. She followed a few meters behind him, all the way to Mom's bedroom. He was now basically running, and he shut the door firmly behind him, trying to escape to my mom's bed like I had many times as a kid. The door cracked open, and the girl stuck her head through the gap, looking straight at them for a long time, before slowly leaving and closing the door again. I asked my mom, all hair standing on ends now, how old was she? My mom said that Steve said she looked about in her early 20s. My stomach dropped and tears pricked me. "So she is real," I whispered back. There was something very sinister about this ghost. I think that's why I'm so creeped out and upset that she was real. I was working at a steel fabrication shop for about 25 years. Our regular start time was 7:30 a.m., and when overtime was scheduled, we would work it prior to start time. We would go through periods where we would work overtime for months on end. So much, I wouldn't really need an alarm clock to wake up as my body was so used to it. I was in the middle of this period of overtime, starting work at 4 a.m. and working till 4 p.m. It took me about 45 to 50 minutes to get to work from my house, so I would wake up at 2:30 a.m., get dressed, pour a cup of coffee down my throat, and get another one for the road and go. I live in a rural area, so there is usually no one awake in my neighborhood at that time of the morning, except me. So I went out my back door to get to my 2000 Honda Civic, which was about 15 feet away and slightly to the right of my back door. And there was a woman sitting in the back seat. I stopped dead in my tracks, just watching her. She had long dark hair with a pale complexion, and was just sitting there. She was sitting in the driver's side back seat, not looking at me. I don't think she noticed me at all, and I was just paralyzed. She was looking out of the left-hand window, looking as someone who's riding in the car on a not-so-exciting drive. After probably a minute or two, her gaze drifted to the front windshield and still not at me. She just sort of melted into the back of the seat and disappeared. I told my wife later that day, and she just looked at me like, yeah, sure. Yes, it was dark, and at a time of day where sane people are sound asleep, but no, I wasn't dreaming or half asleep. My adrenaline was pumping as soon as her presence registered in my brain, and my heart was pounding. After I approached the car, shining my flashlight all over the interior, no one was there. We live in a mobile home. It's 12 by 30 and not a very big sitting room or kitchen, and it's combined with bedrooms separated by a door to the hallway. We have a 3-year-old and a 3-month-old. For the moment, we are taking turns sleeping on the couch with the baby in the cot, since the baby room is pending renovation, so our 3-year-old sleeps with us in the bedroom. Last night was my night on duty. My 3-year-old comes out every night when it's my turn. Nothing unusual there except last night it was at 2:50 a.m. I heard him running out crying to me, followed by my partner behind him. It was dark, so I could just see my partner standing in the doorway in his orange shirt. Well, I just assumed it was him. Though I couldn't see his features, it was dark with only the LEDs at the back of our TV lighting up the room. I tucked my little boy in beside me, and sat up looking at my partner. I shook my head at him, at our boy running out, and he didn't respond. I sat there thinking, why is he just standing there and looking at me? He then proceeded to step back and turn sideways behind the door while bending forward looking in. Still thinking, what the hell is he doing? The idiot either come in or go back to bed. Until the realization hit me about 3 minutes later. My partner had gone to bed in a black shirt, and that was indeed not him standing there in an orange shirt. I jumped up to close the door, and as I approached, it just disappeared. When my partner got up for work at 6, he said he didn't even know our son got up last night, and he was indeed still wearing his black shirt. As I said, living in a mobile home, you hear and feel every footstep, especially my partner's, as he's very heavy-footed, but there was nothing, just silence, no footsteps. Nothing only from my little boy running out to me.